What scam is so normalized people don't even notice? Story 1. Payday loans. I used to work as a debt collector for a payday loan company in the UK. I was not a very good debt collector. People used to find out about the various loopholes that stopped interest being added really easily. I worked there just before Christmas. It is the job that made me go back into education because my soul. Back to the base security system monitoring. Huge scam. My smart home security system alerts me faster than ADT ever did, biggest offenders. When you don't answer the call, they will send out someone and charge you a fee. And every time your system messes up, it will send false error codes to the monitoring station, and they will charge you a huge fee to fix. And if you want to disconnect it, the guy I spoke to from ADT was going to charge me $250 call out plus $50 for every 15 minutes he was at my house, and the job would have taken at least an hour. They said they may need to go onto the roof. Nah, I just called a security installation electrician, and he said $50 call out and $30 for every 30 minutes he was there, but that was depending on the type of job. He was in my house for 5 minutes. Power off, remove power wires from control box, protect the wires so it's safe, replace cover on control box, done. He only charged me $50, compared to ADT's service, which would have cost about $450. ADT hardwired it into our power system without telling us what circuit they plugged into. Basically one flip of a switch outside and the system turns off. I work at an insurance company. We had an insured pay extra for sump pump warning. Warning didn't work. Basement flooded. ADT said, "Oh well, our contract says that's not our fault." Why pay for a feature when there are no consequences to the company for failing to provide said feature? Story 2. Bottled water, like Dasani. Especially in places like an amusement park that marks up the price a shocking amount. Also, the average markup of bottled water is 4,000%, which is fucking outrageous because water is literally free in most places. I'm fuzzy on the details, but Warped Tour got in a lot of legal trouble here in Canada because of water. They were in the habit of taking any water bottles or drinks from you when they checked your bags at the gate. Then you get inside and everything cost money. The energy drinks and pop cost less than water, so most people would buy those instead. One woman bought energy drinks all day because it was a hot summer day, and she wanted to save money for merch. She had a heart attack and died. Now they aren't allowed to confiscate water at the gate. Should be law that they have to make basic tap water available at events like this. Story 3. I don't know if anyone remembers power balance bracelets from the early 2000s. A lot of celebrities and athletes advertised for them, and they claim to improve your balance and overall health. While being a rubber band bracelet made in a factory, it was all nonsense, but they still sold millions of units before shutting down. A new company owns them now, and you can still buy them though. They still have things like that. We live in a touristy city, and my in-laws come to visit. My father-in-law bought a balance bracelet from a street vendor. He said at dinner that he could already feel the difference in the way he walked. I love him to death, but shaking my head. Lamau. Yeah, I remember those. Baseball players, specifically pitchers, used to wear several at a time when they were playing. Then, one day, everyone stopped. The whole gimmick was to have you stretch first so you could have a control to base things off of. Then stretch again when the bracelet was on, and suddenly you can stretch more. But you fucking stretched out your muscles the first time, so the second time you would obviously stretch further with or without the band. Story 4. I just paid for the privilege of setting up my router. My cable company recently started trying to charge for my router, which I own. I got a notice saying, "We noticed an error in billing and we will be charging you for the equipment rental starting in December." The fuck you will. I have every receipt from every cable or phone transaction I've ever done for that exact reason. I paid outright for my router so I wouldn't be renting their shitty equipment at $12 a month. Now they want to charge me for my own property? After receiving that notice, I hopped right on to customer service to get it resolved, and they directed me to their loyalty department because they could best handle it over there. I cut off the conversation and just canceled my service. Cable companies are pure scum. Must be nice to have other providers to choose from. The loyalty department sounds like the people who try to persuade you not to cancel. Seems like a bit premature to transfer you to them just before you say you want to cancel. Story 5. Rent-to-own furniture appliances. Worked in solar construction for a while where you would travel to the middle of nowhere to work on a site, so they gave us housing to fund and rent a place during the job. People would get the rent-to-own furniture and charge it to the housing money as a living expense. Company was cool with it, and once it was paid off, the worker got to keep it. Yeah, I lived in some company-provided housing for a few months once, and they furnished the place with rent-to-own stuff, so situations where rent-to-own actually makes sense to exist. They're just pretty niche and only represent a fraction of their business. There was an episode of Hotel Impossible where the owner rented the couch in her lobby on a weekly basis for years. She could have bought multiple couches with the money she spent on that one couch she doesn't even get to keep. For a hotel lobby, I could see that being worth it. A lot of traffic, you'd be wasting your furniture regularly. I don't give a shit if my 10-year-old couch looks 10 years old. Hotel lobby wants their shit to look pristine. Story 6. Printer ink. Buy a laser printer. Expensive up front, $100 to $700, but pennies in the long run compared to Inkjet. Most come with scan, copy, fax features, which can come in handy in the work-from-home era. I did exactly this. Changed out from Inkjet to a color laser. Pretty penny up front. Long-term cost has maybe 1% the total cost of using an Inkjet long-term. I do not like saying never, but I will indicate that I am incredibly hesitant to any plans for a purchase of an Inkjet for the foreseeable future. Story 7. Every single person on the internet that sells some sort of millionaire education, it's all bullshit. Every single one of them. They are all fucking liars. Most of them are not even rich to begin with. They fake it enough that some idiots buy it. You are customers to them. Nothing more. You want to be a millionaire? Buy my book and I'll tell you how. You buy the book and it says to start a website selling a book on how to be a millionaire. Story 8. Ticketmaster. Yes, basically scammers adding huge markups but making it impossible to use anyone else. Fuck Ticketmaster. Story 9. Scientific journal memberships. Where academics pay journals to publish their papers, which are then peer-reviewed by volunteers, and the journals themselves are then sold by subscription. Not to mention that a huge part of scientific research, breakthroughs, and discoveries are often subsidized by the taxpayer. So even though I help indirectly fund their research through the NIH, I can't read the results without a $200 monthly subscription. I'm sure some academic ethicist could probably speak to the issue in more detail than I can, but that's always bothered the fuck out of me. Story 10. Often, the point isn't the not noticing, but the having a lack of better alternatives. What's worse is when the companies try to do right, and we force them back into scamming. Stores like JCPenney sell $10 shirts for $20 at a 50% discount. They also inflate the price of belts, wallets, and underwear, but then lower the price of pants. It all evens out, but the customer gets the satisfaction of getting a deal. Once they tried to get rid of that with a fair and square pricing strategy, it almost bankrupted the company and it never fully recovered. People don't want to buy cheap stuff. They want to buy expensive stuff at a discount so they feel like they're getting a bargain. Fuck Spectrum Cable and Internet. Fuck, I had to get that out. My friends and family are stuck with this company because there's no competition. Story 11. Those registries that people pay money to name a star. I keep seeing advertisements on Facebook for companies that will give you official lord or ladyship for like $50 based on giving you the title to a small parcel of land somewhere like Scotland. I googled one of them once, and the first result was a breakdown of why the company is fraudulent and doesn't actually have access to any land anywhere. E mare libertas. Glory to Sealand. I bought my friend 1 square foot of land in Scotland through a legit company. They're actually a forest preserve and do this to raise awareness and interest in forest preservation. It is super cute, and they send update newsletters about your land. They offer tours as well. Definitely lots of scam knockoffs though. I've seen the Name a Star thing that was legit through my city's Space and Science Center. The money goes to funding kid programs, but never buy anything off Facebook. That's just asking to be ripped off. I think that would make a great base to a story about some Joe Schmo who buys a star and inherits the problems from that star's inhabitants. They come all the way to Earth after looking up the International Star Registry, and he has to deal with their centuries of old wars. I swear I've seen something like this before as a gag, but I can't remember where. Story 12. The games at fairs and carnivals. There's a Mark Rober video about carnival games. Surprisingly interesting for a video about statistics. It's this one. And yes, it's great. Story 13. Hot MILFs in your area. It is my understanding that they are interesting and meeting me tonight. Get in line, buddy. There are 4 in my area right now, and they are really, really bored. Story 14. The diamond industry, specifically as it relates to jewelry. Everything that the average person knows about stems from propaganda and advertisements created by the De Beers. They aren't rare, they aren't worth what you would pay for them, they don't appreciate in value, and are a terrible investment. They aren't special.